working on the Supra. I've got the start and no crank, just a click issue. And I thought I fixed it. So I've tracked down the issue to the ignition switch and the fuse box. Forget the actual name of it. But essentially the power for the starter relay, which is here, goes through the ignition switch, through that fuse box where the it's the integration circuit relay or something, or no, integration relay, whatever that blue box is over in that kick panel. That has the anti-theft control for that circuit in there, and it comes out, goes up along the firewall, and then comes down to the starter relay, and then from there it goes back out to the engine harness connectors and then to the starter. So terminals on the ignition switch get corroded, or the solder gets cracked, something happens there, and that prevents enough amps going through. And then the second part, I think there's a high amp draw through that circuit, or that integration relay. So my initial fix was bypassing the ignition switch, basically making the ignition switch, doing the 12 volt starter mod that we do in the engine bay normally right here. And that solved it for a long time, and it solved it on many Supras that I've installed it on, but it's not working on mine anymore. So what I'm gonna do is pull off my distribution block, power block here, and bypass that circuit for powering the starter exciter. So essentially, once I do that, the power won't go through the ignition switch anymore, or that integration relay. So that loss of amp capacity will just be a thing of the past. The only thing I got to make sure is that I have enough space in that bus bar that I put in a long time ago to pull power from. So, got to pop all this apart. So I'm going to try to not be in the way too much, but that's how it goes when you're working on a car and trying to record it. So to get this panel off, I've got to, you can get away with not taking the little mud guard here, or kick panel, whatever the hell this is, out, but you at least should take out the first screw, and that'll help keep it'll help this bend up right like that, so you can pull this panel out. So factory, this panel's got it's got two metal retaining clips on the vertical section here, and then in the back there is a small M6 stud with usually, I think, a plastic little nut. If not, it's just got a normal M6 nut on it, and it feels like I never put mine back. So I'm gonna pop it towards the back of the car. It's gonna bend, it's gonna twist. It's not gonna feel good doing it, but it'll come out. So actually, I was wrong. There was 3 of these metal clips. I'm actually missing 2. And give me a little bit more working space. I'm gonna take out this kick panel, and that is a total of 3 Phillips head screws. Alright, so this guy's got 2 alignment dowels that sometimes they've got like a rubber boot on them, and then that slides into some holes in the back, and there's a carpet section here, but mice got to mine years ago. And then let's see, for the glove box, it again, on the earlier pre-89s like this one, it's 2 Phillips head screws on the hinges. You got to be very delicate with those when you're retightening those 2. It's really just a snug, and that's good enough. They do not need to be killed, because those little hinges will break quicker than you can imagine. Alright, so now that those hinges are unscrewed, you can bend them down so they're out of the way. Release. And that's finagling it. The right angle, they dangle. And then it's free. Now I've got some extra doodads here that a stock Supra won't. But I'll bring you in to show you what I got working here. So, this, let me get back. This is the normal automatic transmission control ECU. However, I have hacked it and made it into a distribution block for power. So inside of this box, I've got a main power wire running into it from the engine bay directly to the battery. And then out of it, I've got one wire going to the sound system, the amp, and then the other wire going to this bus bar right here. So there's the main power terminal there, and then all the connections I've got in there. I think I'm going to have some space, looking like there might be a spot farther down. So it looks like I can get this off. Yeah, it's hard to see for you, but there's some terminals in there, and it looks like I gotta need to take off this main power lug to get that cover completely off, which is not necessarily a bad thing given that it's 12 volt positive. And this rail is actually isolated so that I only have power during accessory, so I might not be able to do this now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, let me get back to look at the drawing board again and see if there's other power here that I can pull from. Alright, so it's all coming back to me, slowly but surely. That is my new starter relay. So I've got my key in, and you can see when it cranks, it excites. So it'll be pretty easy to, it'll be pretty easy to refeed power to that thing, since I'm not utilizing the factory starter relay here. But I still got to pull this all out to see exactly how I have it wired up. And there is actually fuses back here as well. And I do have a diagram somewhere, but I'll be damned if I remember. Okay, so this box here is held in by a couple M6 bolts. And this USB cable is getting on my nerves. And there's one on the bottom at least. I don't have a smaller tripod to get the camera in closer, so sorry about that. I will continue on though. And the other one is right up here on the crossbar. It's been a hot minute since I've taken this out. Okay. Let's have a look at what I've got here. So this is power coming off of my bus bar there, and that's going up to the fuses. And it looks like I've got, let's see, the bottom relay. It's my starter relay. I've got the heavy 10 gauge wire coming in and out, vice versa, whatever it is. So that goes up into the dash harness, which I rewired. So I need to see if this has 12 volts when I'm cranking. I've got the ground set to the crash bar. just be able to let this thing just kind of chill in here, as long as it's touching that bus bar. The key on. Yep, we got 12 volts. Yep, it maintains voltage, so it's not just during accessory, which is good to know. So that means I can pull right off of that bus bar and go right to that starter relay and bypass the ignition switch. Now, what will happen is that the signal from the ignition switch will now excite that relay. I think right now it's configured so that the wire has a tap and it splits, so it also it excites and sends power. So we'll just pull that side that goes from, we'll pull the main power cable, the really thick one. So here we can see exactly what I was referring to. Let me lock the focus. So this main power wire right here is coming in from the key. It hits one of the sides of the switched side of the relay, and then the other, this little loop right here, that sends power to the exciter circuit. So that brown with a white stripe is actually going to ground. So what I'll do is pull this terminal out from the key so that this little jumper wire is maintained, and I'll either put a connector on that terminal or I'll just put some heat shrink around it and then wrap it back up in this harness. And then that signal from the key will be maintained, and then this power wire will be replaced with something going to the junction block or the bus bar here. First thing I've done is removed, there we go, oh, wait, now you can see. I've removed the relay, and then in the front of this relay housing, it's going to be kind of difficult to see. Maybe I can point at it. So these terminals, let's get you to focus first. There we go. These terminals have a little cutout. Well, they have a little tang that goes in alignment with these cutouts. There, 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 and there. We need to focus on this one. So to get these terminals out, you have to push something in that little divot there to push that tang up, because that's keeping the terminal in the housing. So I've got a couple different picks here. Just a normal, like, straight Husky pick. This is actually from a little kit meant for taking terminals apart, depinning. I've got a really small one and then a more stiff, flat one. This is usually my go-to, but sometimes you can get away with either. So I may fail at this horribly, but I'm going to attempt to do it one-handed. Try to get you focused, locked. Come on now, work with me. There we go. So I'm going to align it to that, and then work it in, and that terminal should push out. Flip this thing around. There we go. Put that out. So this is the little tang that I was referring to. I'm just trying to bend it back out, but yeah, there we go. So I've got a small single pin connector that has a similar style terminal, and yep, there it goes. Clicks right into place. So now that's protected. I don't have to worry about it arcing on anything, and I could now finish this up. So to finish that part, I've got a ring terminal for heavy gauge. This is probably actually a little too much ring terminal for 10 gauge wire, and I've got I guess you could call it spade terminal for the relay side. Now this is a little light duty for 10 gauge, so I'm kind of working with the two extremes here, but it will work for this application. You can make it work. And this is just the simple wire that I've got, not too crazy, not expensive. So I'm gonna go ahead and whip this thing up. Just basically gonna go from that bus bar to that relay. So probably need about 8 inches or so of wire. That way it'll allow this fuse box to be moved out like this, and then still be serviced. Because if that wire was only as long as it needed to be, you would never be able to get back in here. You probably wouldn't be able to install it either. So I'll still pop that thing apart. Haven't done that yet. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get the ring terminal side done first. I'm gonna strip about a 1/4 inch, give or take a little bit, of insulation off. Now I might, yeah, if the insulation meets the bottom of the crimping zone and then the wires just poke past, that's perfect in my opinion. There are some guides online about exactly what you're supposed to strip to, and you're supposed to have XYZ crimper, but I know I'm not made of money to go buy $5,000 crimpers every time I have a different terminal. Yeah, this terminal is a little hefty for this. I don't like that at all. Nope, I'm gonna go find something else that works. Alright, dug deep through my stash and found a ring terminal that is the good size, the best size, the appropriate size for this. Alright, again about a 1/4 inch, give or take. Got my crimper set to manual mode, non-ratcheting. If you don't have these heavy duty crimpers, you can do the same thing with solder. Or if you don't have these crimpers and you don't have these terminals, you can get the heat shrink crimp terminals and the ratcheting crimpers that you can get on Amazon, and it does the same thing. Alright, so Phillips head. That's what we're working with on this bus bar. So right here, get that out of the way. I'm just working the one terminal. Let's see, that's just the right size. So I gotta use both hands for this, but we'll catch you back on the flip side. Welcome to the flip side. Seems like everything wants to be in the way right here. Alright, I'm gonna get it somewhat snug, and then I'm gonna position this wire where I want it. I love that everything's totally in focus all the time. It's great. Alright, so now we can kind of test fit our wire length here. So I'm gonna give it about that much. So similar thing for this other side. A little bit less than a 1/4 inch, because these terminals, the crimp zone is smaller, but same process. These terminals are a little bit easier to crimp. So there's that side done. Sorry, I could not show that for the life of me. Oh, can't even show it there. I just used the big crimpers. So let's see about fitting this into place. So that should be going there. Gotta find the right angle of the dangle. Or is it this one? Oh, that was it. Wrong hole. That's what she said. Yeah, so it was that guy. Alright, so now, in theory, if I pop this relay back in, I should be able to key on. Oh, no, I gotta hook up the bus bar. That's tightened up. Key on. Oh yeah. Success. So that fixed it, at least for now. We'll see if it doesn't work anymore, then I'll have to go for more drastic options and do a more traditional starter relay mod out in the engine bay. But hopefully it doesn't come to that. So thanks for watching this short little video. Well, medium long video.